in today's lesson, we are going to learn about absolute value with the inequalities of these two forms. Let us look at the definition of these absolute value inequalities. Look at the first definition. When x is less than a, it is equivalent to x between negative a and a. Can also be written as x less than a and x greater than negative a. The next definition is the same, it's similar, but the only difference is there's an equal sign beneath the less than sign. So it is equivalent to the same definition as just now. Just write an equal sign below the inequalities, and also the same for the next definition. Okay, now let us look at the representation of these definitions on a number line. Okay, so the first definition, when you say that x is between negative a and a, that means x is here, right between negative a and a. So you can go anywhere between negative a and a. Okay, the next definition, x less than a and x greater than negative a, means that x less than a here, you can imagine that less than is like an arrow going to the left of a. So since there's no equal sign there, so we just write an empty circle right on a, and then an arrow goes to the left to a. Also the same for at negative a, there's no equal sign there, so empty circle at negative a, and then draw an arrow here, so it's like an arrow going to the right of negative a. And here means that it's an intersection of these two arrows. So the intersection is between negative a and a, which refers to the same answer as the first definition. Okay, so the same goes for the other definition. Right, but since we have these two definitions, which one are we going to use? You can use either one, but I prefer you guys to use the next definition, the second definition. Why? Because when you look at the other definition of an absolute inequality for the greater than sign, this formula that you can see on your next page. So when the absolute value of a number is greater than a, that means you can separate it into two inequalities, and in the middle there's the word or. Same goes for this next definition. The only difference is there's an equal sign beneath the inequality sign. Now I put the definitions side by side to compare. For less than, you have the word and in the middle. For greater than, you have the word or in the middle. And then for less than a, you see that the first inequality sign here, the definition is exactly the same as the one given. Same goes for this inequality. For x greater than a, is the same as the one given. But the other inequality here, look at the sign. Now the sign here changes. Instead of less than a, it is greater than. Instead of a, it is negative a. Same for the other definition. Instead of greater than, there's a less than, and instead of a, there's a negative a. Look at example 1a on page 8. How to solve this inequality? You have to first remember the definition. The definition of absolute inequality is when we have a less than and equal sign. Remember, you can separate it into two. The first separation will be the same sign, exactly the same sign. So it is x less than and equal to a, and then the other one will be the opposite sign, x greater than and equal to, if it's a, then the opposite of a will be negative a. Right in the middle, don't forget to write n. So now we are going to split this inequality. First, you copy exactly the same, just without the vertical bars. 2x plus 3 less than and equal to 5. And on the right side, the other inequality is also the same, 2x plus 3, but we have an opposite sign of inequality and then a negative number on the right side. Right in the middle, don't forget the word n. Okay, we can solve this separately. So for the first inequality, you can just solve it like what we have learned during the first few tutorials. You can just bring 3 to the right, positive 3 becomes minus 3, and then divide everything with 2. Same goes for the right side. Once you have obtained the answers for these two inequalities, don't forget that we have the word n in the middle. That means we need to have a number line. So draw your number line, plot the smallest number, which is negative 4, and then number 1. So at negative 4, you have the sign as greater than and equal. So it's like an arrow going to the right of negative 4. A then circle at negative 4, an arrow goes to the right of negative 4. Next, at 1, there's an equal sign there, so draw the then circle, and the arrow goes to the left of 1. Since there's the word n right in the middle, that means we have to intersect. So the intersection between these two lines is like pulling these two arrows together, and they meet at this middle part. So where they meet is the intersection part. So the answer is between negative 4 and 1. How to write your answer is, imagine that x is right in the middle. So x is in the middle, and there's a then circle at 1. So you write less than and equal, and then circle at negative 4, less than and equal. Write the number 1 here, and then number negative 4. For a solution set, just write the x and curly brackets. Or you can also write your answer in the form of interval form, which is negative 4, comma 1, and square brackets because we have the equal signs. For question B, look at the inequality sign first. The inequality sign here is less than. That means we have to write n in the middle, and there's no equal sign, so it's the same formula but without the equal signs. How to remember when to use n and when to use or? Well, that's usually the problem for students. Whenever you have absolute less than a, you can separate it, and in the middle there's the word n. Whenever you have greater than, absolute or greater than or equal to something, you have to separate it, and there's the word or in the middle. Okay, so how to remember this? Remember, or means union, and n means intersection. So now I'm going to take these two out, these two symbols out. Greater than, when you separate, you have to write the word or union. Less than, you have to write the word n, or intersection. Okay, so from here, one way in memorizing this definition is whenever it's greater than, so it's like you're happy, so you smile. Smile means union. Here, less than, so whenever it's less than, you're sad, so you have the sad face. Okay, but please remember, these two ways of memorizing will only satisfy if, let's say, on the left side is only modulus. There's no other numbers besides the modulus. Okay, so here the next way for you to remember is, you can also remember it as greater than union, less than intersect. Okay, look at what I'm going to do here. I'm going to write a line here and a line here, and I add a here. So it's like the word bukan. So whenever you erase this line, you're going to see that, oh, greater than must be with union, less than must be with intersection. Okay, I hope it helps, but always remember, your first step must always be only modulus on left hand side. Okay, and then the second step is to separate with the appropriate and or in the middle. Okay, so for example 1b, look at the inequality sign. It's less than, so that means when you write the word bukan, less than is this part, this less than. So less than means and in the middle, so we can write and in the middle, and we can separate this into two inequalities. So the first inequality, just copy down exactly the same with the signs, the same left and right hand side. But the next inequality, you flip the sign from less than, it becomes greater than, and on the right side, remember to write a negative in front, everything on the right hand side. Okay, then you can just solve for x. Combine all of the x's together and then the other to the other side. Now you have a negative in front of the x, but you want the value for x. So what should you do with this negative sign? Divide everything with -1, but remember to flip the inequality sign. So right hand side is -1, and the answer for x is x greater than -1. Do the same thing for the right hand side, but before that, expand your negative sign. Once you have obtained the answers for both of the inequalities, remember there's the word and in the middle. That means you have to draw the number line. Start with the smallest number. Which one is smaller, -1 or -0/5? -1 is smaller, so write -1 on the left side, followed by -3/5. Here we see that x is greater than -1, so it's like an arrow going to the right of -1, and there's no equal sign there, so it's an arrow goes to the right with an empty circle. Also the same for x greater than -3/5, arrow to the right with an empty circle there. And here means it's the intersection. So when you want to find the intersection, just try to pull or push these lines together and see where they meet. They meet only at this part, this region. So what is this region? Since there's an arrow here, that means it goes to infinity. How to write your final answer is, we can write it in this form. Since it goes to infinity, that means it goes until infinity from -3/5. So there's no equal sign here because there's the empty circle there. This is your answer in the solution set form. But in interval form, you can also write it like this. -3/5, open bracket here, because there's the open circle, comma, and it goes to infinity, and open bracket there. Okay, you can write your answer like this or like this. Okay, example 2a. To solve this question, remember the first step is to make sure there's only the absolute on the left hand side. Well, the first step is satisfied because there's only absolute on the left side. But if there's any other number, you have to bring it to the right. Okay, next step, look at the signs. So the sign here is greater than. So if it's greater than, remember the formula, which is greater than means you are happy, or we can write the formula bukan here, which means that when the inequality sign is greater than, it is paired by the union sign. So we have to separate this into two inequalities, but in the middle there's the word or. Remember to write the word or, not just writing the symbol union, because it may affect your marks. Remember the steps to separate. The first one is to just copy exactly the same. The next one is to flip the sign and put a negative in front of the right expression, and then you solve for x. Remember, when you have a negative number on the left side, you have to divide everything with that negative number or negative 1. Okay, I'm just going to divide everything with negative 3 to eliminate the negative 3 on the left side. Remember, when you divide with a negative number, the inequality sign changes, and then put a negative on the right side. Now the negative on the left side is gone. Same goes for the right hand inequality. Once you have obtained the answers for these two inequalities, remember to draw your number line because of the word or here. Okay, so the smallest number is the negative number, and then we write 14 over 3. So the first inequality here is x less than negative 4 over 3. So an open circle here, and less than, which means it's like an arrow to the left of negative 4 over 3, and here arrow goes to the right of 14 over 3. As you can see, we have the word or here. Or means all of the answers, so that means it's all of these answers and all of these answers as well. So there's no other easy way to write this answer but to write x here and also x here, and then we have negative 4 over 3, but we go to the left of negative 4 over 3. Now it's 14 over 3 on the right side, and we go to the right of 14 over 3, which means it's greater than. Since this is an open circle, there's no equal sign there, you write or in the middle or the union sign, and then you close your curly brackets. You can write or in the middle of this solution set. You can also write them in the form of interval. Just look at the smallest number on the left side, which is negative infinity, comma, negative 4 over 3, open bracket, or union, and then you meet 14 over 3, and to the right side, the last value here is infinity. To solve for the next question, we follow the same steps. First one, make sure there's only the absolute sign or the vertical bars on the left side, and the first step is satisfied. Next step, look at the inequality sign. Now the inequality sign here is greater than or equal. So when it's greater than or equal, it's still the same separation, which is union, separated by union or the word or. The only difference is that we have to make sure the inequality sign has equal sign as well. Remember, on the right side, copy the same left hand side, but you flip the sign and then put a negative right in front of your right expression, and then just solve. Remember, once you have obtained the answers for the inequalities, make sure you draw your number line because you want to find what is the union of these two answers. Start with the smallest number. The smallest number is 3 over 5, and then you have number 5. So this sign means that it goes to the left of 3 over 5, then circle there, goes to the left, and then we have x goes to the right of 5, and then circle there. Or here means union, so the answer is all of these lines. Okay, so how to write your final answer is x goes to the left of 3 over 5, or in the middle, and x, there's an equal sign here, x greater than and equal to 5, and then write your curly brackets. Okay, you can also write your answer in the form of interval. So for interval, you just copy the same. Actually, interval is easier. Just write comma right in the middle, open bracket, and here, since there's a dense circle, draw your square bracket there, and both of these two inequalities will be separated by this gap, so write union here, and here is the dense circle, so write your square bracket there, comma, and at the end it's just infinity, write open bracket. So your finest interval form notation would look like this. Okay, so that's all for today. Good luck in trying the exercises. Thank you.